Hi, Alex from Messy Painting here. Just gonna give you the second of our Sunday tutorials. I'm just gonna show you how to paint the Necron paint scheme that I do, which isn't the studio paint scheme that GW use. It's one I've made up with a few various inspirations. So firstly, I'm just going to show the colours you'll need. These are all GW paints. As you can see, I've primed it in Games Workshop's Chaos Black, but you can just use any black primer. So firstly, you'll need either a base black colour or Imperial primer. You can just use the old Chaos Black base colour, or the new Abaddon Black, or this, as I say. But if you're using Abaddon Black, you'll need you'll need to water it down a bit, because how we're going to use this is we're just going to wash over all the bits that the primer's missed first. The second colour, third colour, that you'll need is, this is Skull White, just any base thick white colour which doesn't really show through very much. We're not actually going to be using it on its own, but mixing it, but you'll see that later. You're going to need a brown wash. I use Agrax Earthshade. You can use old brown ink or Devlin Mud, or just a dark brown shade or wash. You need ice blue. Not exactly sure what the new equivalent of ice blue is. I think it's loam hedge blue or something. Loam hedge blue, I'm not sure. And then you'll need silver, chainmail. I use chainmail. Again, I don't actually know what the newer equivalent of this is, but it's just an average brightness chainmail. It's not like mithril silver, it's not really light, and it's not like steely. It's just sort of normal silver colour. Then you need either, if you are old-fashioned and can't be bothered to buy the new one, or don't want to buy the new one, or just don't like names like the new one, you can use gloss varnish. I find this is a bit shinier, a bit runnier, and you need less coats of this to make it shiny, but most of the time I just use Ard Coat, which is the new version. You need Balthazar Gold as a base colour. Yeah, nothing to say about that. You need highlight of Hashupped Copper. For the base you need Dawnstone, and for the dark blue you need Cantal Blue. Alright, so those are the paints. First we're going to apply our base coat. I'm not using GW brushes, but I've actually forgotten what company they're made by. But so first I do just a brush. Okay, I think we'll start with Balthazar Gold. As I say, it's already been primed in Chaos Black. So to all the areas, it doesn't really matter how messy or sloppy you are at the moment, and we're not going to apply the black on any of the bits that need to be black yet, because we can do that after, and you know, it's a bit of a waste of time going over everything when most of it isn't going to be black. But the black just kind of tones it for the beginning and acts as a primer also. So yeah, you do all the spine, all the kind of usual armour parts, and I'll be back when those are done and you can see a bit more which bits I've done. Hi, I'm back and I've painted on all the Balthazar Gold. So the places I've painted it is the rib cage, not the chest cliff at all, the fingers of the hands, the place between the wrists and the forearm, and the upper arm, the place where it joins to the body, and the back rib cage, the spine, the head except for the strip in the middle, and I haven't I've left the eyes black completely. The legs, not including the lower middle leg, not really sure how to describe this. The end of the foot, the ball of the foot, but not the rest of the foot, and the heel of the foot also. The hip bone thing. What else? That's about it. Well, you can take a look here. Anyway, so I haven't painted the little tube that joins the spine to the head, but I painted kind of underneath the spine. So you can see that, the upper legs, as I said. So now I'm going to apply the wash, which is Agrax Earthshade, which you saw earlier. So unlike the warriors, I'm not just going to slather it all over, because as I mentioned in my Immortals and Overlord video, this guy's of a slightly higher rank, so I'm just going to put it in the crevices. I'm not going to just wash him all over. It doesn't matter with the rib cage, some bits kind of drip to the other bits of the rib cage, because it will look like there is kind of oil coming out or something. So in the neck, which as I've mentioned before is a separate piece when you build it, never understood that. In the cracks in the elbow, oh, sorry about that, it looks like some of the bronze is still wet. But anyway, I will continue the process. So put in the various cracks of the spine. And down the sides. The back of the rib cage. So the base coat I've applied quite heavily just to give it a nice solid colour. I was thinking about doing 2 coats, but didn't really have enough time. So also in the kind of lower bit of this, should hopefully kind of blend it a bit. As I say, the bronze is still a bit wet unfortunately, but that actually makes it, if that is the case, it's actually sometimes good, because it means the paint and the wash will sort of blend a bit better, and you don't want unblended wash after all. So anyway, I'll continue that process and I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so now we've applied our wash. If you can see where I've put it, as I said, I've put it in all the cracks and crevices, between the fingers, places like that. Even when they aren't very deep crevices, like in here, I've still put a bit of a wash in, and as I say, I haven't just put it everywhere, so it hasn't completely dulled the metal. So the next stage is the what's the word? Sorry, I forgot my words. Highlighting. So it's not really highlighting. I sometimes dry brush it, I sometimes highlight it. I'm just going to do highlighting this time. So we got our smallish brush. That's how big the brush is compared to my finger. And our Hashat copper. And so we just start kind of dabbing it on the raised areas of the model, like on the end of its spine, the tips of the spine, for example, like so. We also for the ribs, you can also make it sort of slightly lighter in the middle of the ribs, so that it looks like when we have our highlight it more towards the middle, so that when we have our blue rune there, it'll kind of look like it's glowing a bit because it's lighter in the middle. So, because this is an immortal, we'll only highlight it a tiny bit because it's of a lower rank. So on the cheekbones as well, the raised areas of the arms, try to sort of fade it out by moving your brush about a bit because it is sort of quite different. I mean, not very different, but it's a bit different, the actual colour, so it's quite a bit lighter, so it's not a completely smooth transition. But I don't want to go into tons of, you know, mixes of different bronzes and stuff, because at least from small distance it looks alright. So also on the tops of all of the bits of the what do you call them, elbows? I think I'm forgetting my words. Just turn it off, do the same for this. And this also helps if the wash has gone over a bit, like it has here. It can kind of make some definite lines. And although really up close, you might think at first those don't look very good because they're too definite. Once you actually see them on a tabletop, they will look a bit better. So again, we're kind of, even though there isn't a room with this one, we're making it slightly lighter towards the middle, not really highlighting around the far edges. Kind of brushing outwards, it fade out at the edges. And it actually looks really good if you do a few. I know I was highlighting just the ends earlier, if you just keep on going over it, because it kind of makes those bits really stand out. Like they're catching the sun almost. Do the highlighting on the other arm. This on. Just a bit more. I've kind of covered up the ink wash on that one, never mind. And then for the bits between the wrist and the forearm, you can kind of, a bit like edge highlighting, I suppose. You get a thin layer of it on the edge of your brush and stroke over it. And it kind of highlights just the two ridges, which are like the bone. Also on the legs. Remember, keep quite a few of the dark places dark that the ink wash has got on, because it'll just give it nice sort of depth. So again, I'm doing quite a lot on the tops of these legs just to make them stand out and look like, again, like they're sort of catching the light. And on the knees, sorry. I've decided actually for the knees, I'm just going to kind of get a small blob on the end of my, you can see that. Focus. Sorry, it's not going to focus. But, so that it can just not do what I did with the last one, which was go over the shaded bits. So you can see it gives it quite a lot of sort of depth. Makes it just look a bit more realistic. For the feet, I just usually do kind of two stripes where the joints are. A bit like for the knees as well. So, so the next thing we do is now that's just the normal one for like higher ranks. I might do, as I said before, a few mixes of the wash, just if I'm spending extra care on that model. So the next thing we do, blue. Oh, sorry, that was a bit close. Cantor blue, the base colour. I actually, because I'm not very good at edge highlighting and I don't want to bother with edge highlighting for every single one of my models, I just actually leave the Cantor blue bits Cantor blue. I don't give them highlights or anything because it kind of makes them look a bit glowy, and then you go into edge highlights and you never come back. You get a bit enthralled in edge highlights, and to make it actually look good once you've started, you have to, give quite a few layers of edge highlights, and I just don't really want to bother with that for every single one of my models. So I'm just doing, oh god, I just put that all over the head. But never mind, I can clear that up while it's not filming. So I'm just, it's a tiny bit watered down just to make it flow a bit better and look a bit smoother once it's dried. You can do a few layers of this just in case there's bronze underneath, because the bronze can quite easily show through blue. There's a slightly lighter version. As I mentioned in my other videos, you can use Necron Abyss, which is one of the old paints. I think you can still buy on Amazon or eBay, but GW don't actually manufacture it anymore. Yeah, so. And also, always remember the edges need to highlight over, not highlight, sorry. And also, the hardest bit is inside without, sorry, my finger's in the way there, you can't even see what I'm doing. Ah, finger. Going inside here without getting it on the arm, which I've just done, which again I'll clean up afterwards. And the other thing is down here, just to make that line actually, so it looks like it has a bit of thickness. Yeah. Anyway, you're probably bored to death watching me do this, so I'll finish up the blue